Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of AgogeTV. I'm your host Phil Leonard.
And I'm your host Josh Summersgill.
On today's podcast we have the legend Sheli McCoy. Sheli is a box owner and is also, I want to say, do you know what? You're one of the few people that I've had real trouble like knowing where to start the podcast with, because you're very eclectic. So I'm just going to throw it straight over to you and just say, Sheli, introduce yourself, tell us a bit more about you and your sort of, let's go with your CrossFit journey to begin with, because that's always an easy place to start.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me today. My name is Sheli McCoy. I live up in Scotland. As you've said, I'm a box owner. I just opened a box called Sweatbox in Dundee. And I also own a company called Complete Physique, which is where I do my personal training from. But I'm also a rehabilitation specialist, so I work with sports therapy. However, my master's is in biomechanics and kinetics. So a lot of movement, flow stuff, corrective movement, and that all's kind of housed in a clinic, a sports clinic that I have inside my gym. Right. I'm an online coach as well, and I'm an online nutrition coach. And then I'm a British weightlifting instructor, coach, technical official. I do a lot with British weightlifting, and I'm also a tutor for fitness courses. So gym instructing and exercise to music and stuff like that. Wow. With a company called Fitness Train in Scotland.
Just a quick one. How did you manage to clone yourself?
Yeah. So where do you find time to train? Is the first.
It's impressive. It's very impressive.
Do you know what it is? Like, so I'll just hit you with the truth. Like, I'm 30 now, so I've had a lot of years to collect all of those badges and certificates. I started off, I was like a professional show jumper way back. Right. And when I was abroad, my mum made me study. So I did like an MA.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Phone.
That's me. I didn't even know my phone could do that.
Yeah. And an HND when I was abroad. And then when I came back, I went straight into, I did like another 2 years at college, went straight into university in the third year, and then completed my degree, then my honours. Then I won Best Overall Performance of the Year for my university. So right. I was given a master's scholarship. So I completed my master's at RGU in Aberdeen as well. And during that time, I trained as a personal trainer to make extra money. Then I developed my therapy skills. I worked under another guy in Dundee called Brian McNeil. He is amazing. Like, you would walk in and sit down and he'd know you had a shoulder injury 12 years ago. He is like unagi mental with injury. So I worked for him, and literally just from then, when I graduated in 2015 to now, I just built my own gym, built my own clinic, done a lot more online. And every day for me is structured. So I have a diary and it has like 4 colors in it. And each part of my day is like, I have a specific color. And I like to, are you familiar with Jason Khalipa?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. So
yeah,
he does
AMRAP
something
mentality.
Called, bang.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life. AMRAP mentality. So I spend an hour AMRAPing one part of my development. So my goal every single day when I wake up is to better my business, better myself personally. So that's in CrossFit. To better my career. So that might be something to do with the gym, and to better my relationships with people. So they're my 4 colors, and that's how I work every single day.
I absolutely love it. I've only very recently read the AMRAP mentality. Read Jason Khalipa's book, and it is a fantastic book. And I feel I'm 31, and like you're putting me to shame at the minute. So like
sort it out, Phil. Get
I
up
know,
here.
Right? I need to get better. I need to get better at this. So like but yeah, like I do like the way he breaks it down and gets you to sort of define your goals and all that kind of thing, and define what's important to you. Personally, I've not managed to implement it anywhere near as effectively as you. I feel like I need to come to Scotland and have you kick me into gear. Do you find that trying to balance it is easy? Do you get that like little sort of, do you have more time spent on, say, business at certain times a year, or do you have
yeah, definitely, because It depends what phase of my life I'm in. So let's just take pre-COVID, COVID BC. I was massively working on my athletic side because sanctionals. So I competed at sanctionals in London for strength and depth, and then in Norway at the Norwegian CrossFit Championships. So for a few months there, the majority of my time was spent on training, but I still met with that's actually why a lot of my clients went online. And
right.
So I could still manage my relationships, still manage their training, and get them to take their training in like a little bit more independently. And because I had the gym, I could offer them classes rather than one-to-one.
Right,
so
okay.
At that point, I definitely worked on my athletic side. However, mid lockdown, I've worked a lot more on my online building, an app that I'm developing for my online clients, and then a little bit more about the clinic and our health and hygiene procedures that will be in place when we open again. So yeah, definitely. Depends what time of the year it is, depends what I have coming up. But ultimately, I want to be a full-time professional athlete. So if and when I need to put that first, I do. However, the key to being, like, I've been a CrossFitter for 6 years. I've been almost a full-time CrossFitter for 2. And the key isn't to hammer it at 100% all day, every day. The key is to never miss a day where you do something to better yourself. So it's not like it takes up 10 hours of my day every day and it's the only way to do it. Some days I only train for an hour and I go straight back to work because I don't get funding to be an athlete.
Yeah.
So it's about balance. Like, I think I've done a pretty good job in a way that my gym has like 110 members. It's only been open 2 months, obviously closed right now. I have like 40 online clients. I have 30 one-to-one clients. My clinic works 2 full days a week and a half day, and it's always full. There's like a waiting list. But I sleep 9 hours a night. I eat. I've managed to wash my hair. I call my mom. So like I have time.
Yeah, no, like, you know what, like, I think the main thing, and again, it's something that I took from Jason Khalipa's book, like you say, is like just knowing where your priorities actually lie at certain times, at certain periods of the year. And like I say, you seem to have it really dialed in, which is very impressive, because like I say, I'm nowhere near having it that dialed in. But it's pretty awesome. You talk about your clinic as well, and that was something I definitely wanted to ask you about, because you did an Instagram video talking about imbalances within CrossFit, which I found pretty interesting. Like, I see a lot of it. I've worked with some of the Red Pill guys like Jousey and Mansfield, and they talk a lot about similar sort of things. So I was just wondering if you could elaborate a bit more on that.
So, in the clinic, I do work with just instant clients. So maybe like sports massage, little bit of a niggle, sore knee, that sort of thing. And that's been like the case for the last 9 years. And in that time, there's been, as obviously I've shifted more towards CrossFit, and I'm in a CrossFit box, and always was really, I see the trends of injuries. I see the trends of weakness through muscles, dominance through others. And I've started developing a flow series and a manual that's going to help sort of tackle the needs requirements of a CrossFit athlete. So like my first degree was in sports science, and there was always the case of taking an athlete, doing a needs analysis, and then meeting the criteria of those needs with a program. It's something very similar to that. So the observations I've made over the previous maybe 2 seasons that I've actually deliberately taken notes on things toward this manual is that we use our quads a hell of a lot, and it's not a problem, but the issue that creates is that the posterior chain houses a lot of strength and performance elements for us in connectivity of power and torque, speed, and force, whereas although your quads are a very strong set of muscles, they come with a few issues that through the quadricep muscles being 4 into where the psoas muscle is. The psoas is interestingly one of the only muscles that actually connects the pelvis to the spine, but in a shortness of that and an overdominance of the quads, it doesn't allow a neutral stance within the pelvis. So what we see quite a lot is the frontal plane of the body overworked, the posterior a little bit underworked, because a lot of the time we go to what works best. And I know myself, I would rather squat a weight off the floor than deadlift off the floor. For me,
amen.
Nah.
like, I'm all about that knee bend, guys. All about that knee bend. And when we are working under time constraints, AMRAPs or a performance of reps, we're always thinking about task orientation, getting the workload done as quickly as we know we can do it with minimal fatigue. And my quads are bulletproof. Legitimately, I'll do Karen unbroken in under 5 minutes and I'll be fine the next day. Whereas if you give me a 70 kilo deadlift, which is less than 50% of my 1RM, if I have to do 10 reps at that, my bum will be hanging off. Like that day and the next day for 2 or 3 days after.
You need to listen to a girl called Sheli McCoy. She talks a lot about this, like quad and hamstring imbalance. Should give her a listen.
You're right. Well, with that in mind, I started looking at, like, this is the one thing as well that's quite important. It happens in CrossFit, we are slightly dominant in certain areas like pec and biceps head, rather than maybe lats and triceps legit. However, is that what the sport calls for? Or is that a negative byproduct? Because maybe it happens for a reason, and in which we are going to be in a better position if we allow it to happen. Okay, it's not great for life, but is it better for this sport? And at the end of the day, do we sacrifice long-term comfort for short-term glory? And I think a lot of people do. Should we? Well, absolutely not. No, because this is a flash for us. Yeah. I've done CrossFit now for 5-6 years. I'll probably do it for another 10, but then I might be like a bit of an older woman and I might want to just work in the clinic, and I might want to have kids. Probably not, but I would like to be able to walk and sit up straight when I'm 50.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot you can discuss about these imbalances. And for me, I think correcting them to a neutral position within the body, particularly when we're talking about glute activation, TFL, side hip, into hamstrings and adductors, if we can get just a little bit better sequencing through those muscles, we can then maintain low back health, we can improve performance in torque and power output, we can kind of save the knees a little bit as well. And long term for the skeletal area, it's better. It's a better mechanical line. It's a lot less wear and tear. And I find it fascinating. So I'm going to be producing a few things on how to correct those imbalances, how to spot those imbalances. For me, I work on my glutes and hamstrings a lot, but I'm disproportionate. I have a 29-inch inside leg, but I'm 5'7". My spine is so long. I'm like 90% spine. So for me, in a deadlift position, I am going to have to take a little bit more flexion through the knee. I am going to have to put my shoulders back a little bit so it does drop my hip a touch. But that's optimal for health of my spine, not really necessarily to use my quads. It's just because I just have too long a lever otherwise.
Yeah. The other thing as well is just what you mentioned then about obviously quads and hamstrings, squats, deadlifts. In something like CrossFit, when obviously you'll know this from doing like programming, the amount of squat bias movements that are performed in CrossFit far outweighs the hinge, doesn't it? And I think that's part of the problem as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anything from wall balls, thrusters, any of the Olympic lifts compared to what deadlifting and kettlebell swings.
Exactly. You know I mean? That's it. You're right. You are so right.
CrossFit.
Now, interestingly, Phil favours a hinge to a squat because he's only slightly taller than me. I'm talking slightly. So I'm about 5'6", Phil's about 5'7". But the difference in femur length, right? My thighs are about this long. So obviously I prefer to squat, whereas Phil is like, like you're 90% spine, he's 90% leg.
Yeah. I can turn anything into a pull.
Yeah.
Like anything, you got to me back squat, and as soon as that shit gets heavy, you're like, I'm turning that into a good morning.
Yeah.
No matter how much I try to use my quads, like,
But it's interesting as well what you mentioned about like the longevity of it, and do we sacrifice obviously health and longevity for short-term performance? Well, I think it depends on the type of person that you are. So, for example, a few episodes ago, we had Sarah Davies on, and she was going for the gold medal, and she hit the jerk, but she felt it dump load onto her lower back where she'd had a previous injury, and she dropped it because she was like, I'm not doing that again. And we've since discussed, it's like, would you hospitalize yourself for a gold medal? Do you know what I mean? So,
and we've previously had Trav on. And I don't know whether you know Trav. I have no doubt he would hospitalize himself for that gold medal. Like, so
it depends what you like, doesn't it? Depends what your goals are. And so it's just an interesting one.
So one quick thing as well, just so, because obviously I think people listening, most will have a good understanding of what we're talking about, but I just want to try and like, sort of simplify it for people. We talk about like imbalances that are sport specific. So to use an analogy that would maybe help people out is, if you look at a cyclist generally has a very rounded upper back, big old quads, not much else going on. And where that is an adaptation that is made for their sport, that is good for their sport, and they will sacrifice that because they know that that's going to make them better at cycling. It might not necessarily lead to long-term shoulder health, hip health, and so on. Yeah. So I think that's something that just to help people that maybe don't understand how that sort of relates to CrossFit. In CrossFit, we sacrifice the fact that, okay, we're going to squat more. My like for me, for example, my knees are going to hurt if I'm prepping for a competition or something like that, because I'm going to have to squat more than
you don't
generally.
like it.
Yeah, and I don't like it. Yeah. And Shell, have you got any sort of tips relating to you say you've got a manual coming out and things like that, a flow diagram to help people? You got any tips that will help people sort of maybe who aren't attacking CrossFit as the sport and want to manage that sort of dominance towards squatting and basically get better?
Well, it depends what they are doing. And to be honest, I think a test retest is always a good thing to do. So for instance, I have a look at my full body health maybe every 2 to 3 months. So what I'll do is I'll check my rotation, and like I'm really stiff in my upper body. It's my biceps. They're so tight. So I know that's an area I have to, I legit.
Worth
I
it.
know that's an area I have to manage and keep my eye on. I also know what my preference is. So let's just take a basic case study. Let's call him Bob. Bob is 30 years old, plays a bit of tennis, maybe does a bit of squash. Bob does a lot, and he does a bit of spin biking. So he changes direction quickly. He maybe works a little bit on short, sharp duration stuff, particularly with the spin bike. But realistically, when does he isolate the muscles that allow him torque, force, power, and how much flexibility does he have? Because if he reaches out, he's going to need a little bit of flexibility. So let's say we take Bob. He basically writes down his sports. He looks at the muscles and the groups and the positions and the speeds at which he works. It's very easy to see a pros and cons list to that. Like, what is going to be working all the time? What is not going to be working all the time? And it's just about being mindful. Even the average person who doesn't want to be an athlete but wants to just have longevity in their joints, who wants to be able to sit up straight, who wants to go to sleep and wake up the next day without back pain, or sit in a car for a couple of hours and still be able to walk when they get down to Manchester. Like, it's very easy to know what you actually use in your sport and what you don't, because rerun the movement patterns, rerun the positions. So for Bob, he's going to want to really keep flexible as he can, because he's moving into wide shapes at speed. He's also going to want to be thinking about if he's using his glutes and his hamstrings. He's also going to want to think about this posture that he'll be in every time he's on his spin bike, and his shoulder health, because he's putting not to 100 through racket sports all the time. So when we look at someone like that, again, it's just a needs analysis. If you know what you need, it's very easy to go out there and get the information to fix it. And if you don't, there's loads of assessments online. So for instance, even just like GoWOD, you can go on to GoWOD, the app, and for free, you can take their mobility assessment. It's only like 6 exercises, and it will give you a score out of 100. So my score is 97%, but the 3% deficit is in my left shoulder. And so that, then I know, it instantly tells me you're great in your hips, you're great in your ankles. Like I can squat, even my PB back squat, I'm perfectly upright because my knees travel far forward. I've got good dorsiflexion, good plantar flexion. I've got really good hip flexion and extension and rotation for a medial side. Like none of that's an issue for me, but my thoracic gets tight and subsequently my left shoulder gets tight. So for the average person, if you don't know and you don't know where to start, do a mobility or flexibility assessment. And if you kind of do know what you're doing and you do know what you're under focusing on, flexibility or specific strength in areas you don't use, get on the internet or get to a coach. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, agreed.
That's why I have a job. So
yeah, us too. Not that we're doing very much of actual having a job at the moment, but and interestingly as well, just because I know obviously a lot of our members are listeners regular. If you do want a test to have, I have one written down that's printed out, and I probably get asked for it never, but there is I have got testing that we can use to identify your imbalances, and just really quickly give you a once over. So for our regular listeners that are members of the gym, just give us a shout and we'll send it over. It's free. Like we don't charge people for it, so give us a shout. And if anybody else is listening and they're interested in getting it, I'm sure they can either jump on GoWOD or give me a shout. Give Shell a shout, and again, we'll point you in the right direction for sure. So, Shell, I want to ask you really quick as well about competing, because obviously you say your priority is competing, and you're obviously a fantastic coach. But I want to ask you about your experiences at the higher level competitions. So, can you just give us a quick rundown of the comps that you've been to and some of your favourite ones?
Yes, so I'll start at the one I've been to most recently and go back. Recently, I went to the Norwegian CrossFit Championships. Side note on that, event 1, they put us at the bottom of a ski lift, a ski lift. So, you know, that you would get on a seat and get to the top of, except no seat for us. The bottom of a ski lift, like this, here I was down here, and they were like, okay, so we're not going to tell you how long you're going to run for. We're not going to tell you anything about the course or anything that you need. But this is where you start, and the blue flag, you can't see it, but it's over there. That's where you finish. And we were like, right. And we were like, when do we start? Like, okay, we'll get ourselves ready. When do we start? They were like, go. We're like, what? They're like, go. So you got to the top. When you got to the top, there was just people pointing, go down there. So you would run down there till you seen someone else. There's a guy, go over there. So it was insane. I think it works out as something like only about 10K, something like that. But only 10K, like this, like this, like that, like this.
10K on your hands and knees.
Honestly, sometimes the snow was like up to my pants. It was insane. And I had like COPD for like 2 weeks after that, like breathing to the bottom of my lungs. So that was awful, but the rest of it was great. It was programmed by Phil Hesketh. Yeah. So, and he loves an aggressive time cap. He loves an aggressive time cap. So I went to Norway. That was really good. My team did well. I can't remember what place we finished in. I was a bit like WOD drunk by the end of it. And then right before that, my team AOD, we competed at Strength and Depth in London. That was amazing. We finished like 6th. We done absolutely awesome there. And my favorite one, weirdly, was the run, but only because we came 4th in it. And right before we set off, Rich Fronin, I was stood next to Rich Fronin. It was me, him, China Cho, Tasia, and Scott Panchek. Now, Scott Panchek and I are both sponsored by Innovate. So we were supposed to have a photo shoot that next day. And he was stood there as well. He was like, hey, we're doing a photo shoot together, are we? And I was like, look, Scott, not right now. I'm about to compete, mate. But yeah, we are. And then Rich Fronin was stood there. And sometimes like some of my mates take the piss a bit and they call me Tits. They're like, all right, Tits. And I'm like, right. Anyway, that's apparently what Rich Fronin's cameraman's called as well. And he was stood behind me. So Rich turned around and went, how's it going, Tits? And I was like, not bad, Rich. How are you? And he was like, I was like, oh, not me. He went, my cameraman's called Tits. I was like, yeah, me too. And he kind of went, yeah. And then when we were stood there, he was like, oh, did you hear the new rules? And I was like, what new rules? And he went, oh, your team, yeah, so you've got the sandbag. And I was like, yeah. And the rule was someone had to carry the sandbag. It didn't matter if one person carried it the whole way. Didn't matter if you swapped it. It didn't even matter if two people carried it. But anyway, someone had to take the sandbag. So he was like, when you go on the first lap, when you come back, the two women dropped out and then it was just two guys that finished the next lap. He was like, you need to throw the sandbag in the water. And I was like, what? And he went, yeah. He went,
this is Rich Froning telling you this.
Yeah. Rich Fronin's fucking with you basically before the start of the workout.
He was like, you need to, as you come over the line, you need to throw it in the water. And I was like, and when I looked at Mike, one of the guys in my team, Mike was like, I was like, oh! I was like, oh, you're threatened by us, Rich. That's cute.
Right, so because they bombed that run.
Yeah, they did. They came 9th.
Yeah.
We came 4th in the run and they came 9th. And Tasia came over the line and she was like, I'm dying. And I was just like, you're okay. It's just a little bit of London air. You'll be fine. Also, that was the coolest warm-up area I've ever been in. Like, me and China warmed up on a barbell together for the snatch event.
Nice.
Life goals. I was like, she came over and she was like, is it okay if I warm up with you? And I was just like, I like instantly, I like forgot how to snatch. I was like, had like a close grip, like, oh, yeah, forgot how to snatch for a little minute. But that was cool. And just like a lot of my friends were there as well. I've also, like, individually, I've done the Spanish throwdown in Madrid, the French throwdown, done a few things, the Scottish Functional Fitness Championships. Yeah. I've been quite a lot of places, to be fair. I'd need to see the plaques in the gym. I've done European Championships and Battle of the Beast, like, almost every year.
You're really doing well when you have to check where you've been by the plaques in the gym. That's yeah.
And you're covering the globe for competitions. You're doing pretty well.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
I've actually loved it. Like, before, when I was a show jumper with horses, I traveled the world, and that's what I've always wanted to do again. Like, I'm happiest when I'm somewhere in the world. So like, I always love to take the opportunity. I was supposed to be competing in July over my birthday, actually, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th at the Compostelle Games. It's in Spain somewhere. Right. They sent me an invite, and it looks like a great competition. Oh, Canary's Gone Bad in Tenerife as well. I do that every year. I loved it. I won it the last couple of years. Nice. And it's like $1.5 grand prize money. Plus, the workouts are so varied. Like, the first one last time was 500 meter row, 100 meter swim, 3 rounds for the time. And then the next one was like an 8-minute window to get as many calories on the bike as possible, as well as there was 3 jerry cans. One of them was 30 kilos, one 20 kilos, one 10 kilos, to get it from this side of the pool over to the other side of the pool. And with the 30 kilo one, there was no chance you were swimming with it. So I moved that one first, dropped it to the bottom of the pool, and I had a partner, Charlotte. She got in the pool, she went to the bottom, grabbed it, and just walked along the bottom of the pool with this 30 kilo jerry can, popped up and chucked it out, and I was on the bike. I loved that competition. Yeah, it was really good. So yeah, then the other one on that one was this horrible. You had to do 10 chest to bar, 10 toes to bar, like 5 muscle ups, but you had to do it unbroken. You couldn't come off the rig. You had to do it unbroken. Then your partner had to do it unbroken. And then once you'd both done it, you were like released in to do the WOD, which was like 100 overhead squats at 50 kilos or something horrendous. But that was class.
Nice. I like it. How do you first like? How do you find competing in the heat? Because like one thing that I noticed when I first started training in my back garden in lockdown was I was like, yeah, I'm gonna train outside and I'm gonna feel like I'm at the games every time I do a workout, and then like halfway through my first workout, I'm like, this is bullshit. I can't breathe. I don't don't like training in the heat.
You've just got to learn to adapt. Like I always imagine like what other people are feeling in that time, and I wouldn't be the only one that was overheating. Yeah. I would also and I think it's about managing your heart rate and learning to work through, like that's why people go and do acclimatization, because it is a different feeling and it does matter. Your Fran time in the scorching heat in your garden is definitely different to that in your gym in the shade. Yeah. And I think it's about managing expectations. I always go into a workout with a plan, and that plan will have taken into consideration the time of day, the sort of sleep I had the night before, how much fuel I've taken on board at that time, if I have or have not taken pre-workout, if it's a strength-based element, the temperature that is currently going on, my current heart rate. And because of all those things, I plan my training and I know what I want from that training. So maybe it's Murph in the sunshine. Yeah. I know that my aim is to just finish it in under an hour. My Murph time's 52 minutes with a vest. And most of it was inside. The squats and the run was outside. Right. But yeah, so I know what I'm kind of capable of half and half. So for me, if you stuck me in 24 degrees and said do Murph, my aim isn't to beat 52 minutes, because realistically I'm in a different environment. The stimulus is different. I'm going to feel different. And the only time you'll probably stop is when you think you're doing badly, whereas that's not a mindset that ever enters my head ever.
Cool. Amazing. That's a great attitude to have as well. A good answer as well. I was like, how's it training in the heat? And you're like, you know what, don't be a pussy. And that's
suck that shit up.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, you can't control it. If you want to heat, if you want to train and it's hot, then train accordingly with the heat. Don't expect the fucking heat to go away because you're a bit toasty.
Do you know what? I was in one of the days, like speaking of having a bad training session, I was in the back garden and I was having the worst training session that you could possibly imagine. Like the dog had ran away with my skipping rope. The fucking next door neighbour had decided to start like jet washing his flags, and I was getting soaked while I was trying to do burpees, and I was like, for 4 or 5 rounds I was like, this is good, like a bit of adversity, yeah, it's hard but it's okay. And then on the 5th round my neighbour just started jet washing his whole like conservatory, and I was like, fuck this. I'm done, I've had enough. I'm out. I was literally coming soaking wet, and my missus is like, oh, where have you been? Like, it's like, you're sweating. I'm like, I'm not sweating. I'm like, you're soaking. But
if I put it to you this way though, if the challenge was, if before you went out, because the thing is, you were given some unexpected adversity there. You weren't mentally prepared for it. However, if you and Josh were in your garden and Bob next door was like, right guys, let's see how long it takes you to do your 5 rounds with the jet wash on. And actually, sometimes I'm going to point it directly at you. You would have went into that workout like,
fuck you, Bob, let's have it.
Yeah, do this, Bob.
You'd have been like, Bob, crank it up. And you'd have done it, and at the end of it, you'd have been like, oh man, that was so tough, but it was cool. And realistically, the next time you see those 5 rounds with a group of 10, you've done it with fucking Bob with the jet wash. So, like, you've actually done it with bells and whistles, whereas what happened to you was unexpected adversity, and you were like a kid about it. You were like, fuck this, Bob, you've ruined it for me.
Fuck you, Bob.
Fuck you, Bob.
That was exactly what I was like.
That's such a good I love that. That's brilliant. Because it's exactly right.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's okay to do that sometimes, as long as you recognize that that's what you've done. Because the next time, let's say tomorrow, you go out and it's peaceful as fuck, then Karen starts mowing the lawn. You need to be aware that you can't give up. That's cool. But would Josh, right beside you, give up if you knew that Karen was going to be mowing the lawn? The answer is you wouldn't. You'd get the best out of your workout, because maybe you finish 15 minutes slower because you're distracted, but at least you finished. And things will come up and things do change. And at the games, Camille's rower doesn't switch on, someone's skipping rope breaks. But if that's your reason to walk away from a task you've set yourself, then there's a little cog missing that is task orientation. Are you there to finish the task in perfect conditions, or are you there to just fucking finish the task regardless of conditions?
So what I've got from that is, it's okay for me to stand there running a class, hosing down our members with a jet wash.
Sorry guys, deal with it.
And it's just going to make them better, basically, isn't it? Not only do they wash the COVID off, happy days.
You know what's quite good though?
There we go.
Have you ever ran a class yet that's that, I can't remember what they called it, at the games when you stepped up to the bar and the judge went, pull-ups.
Was
you
it
didn't know
chaos?
how many.
Chaos, yeah.
Chaos, yeah. You ever run a class like that? Yeah.
No, I'd love to though.
That's it. And you know what? See the guys that fancy themselves a bit of a CrossFitter. It doesn't half rip their fucking nose hair out. They get well picked off.
I'm not surprised. Like to be fair, I like I say, as I did that workout, I did finish the workout. But I was furious the whole time. Like, so, I got to point out, I didn't quit. I was just fuming.
Yeah.
So
I didn't quit, promise.
Yeah, honest, didn't quit. But it, like I say, and I was speaking to my coach about it afterwards, and I was just like, this happened, and literally as soon as it was done, I was laughing about it. It was like, learn from it, you know what I mean, dealt with it, and now we'll move on. And that's one thing I personally had to get good at. Like, I can let one miss snatch ruin the rest of my session, whereas now, like, I'll miss 10 snatches and be like, fuck it, now it's time to do something else. Okay, cool.
Stop missing snatches.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Also, don't you think, like, some days are really good, like, really good days on a physical performance? Some days are terrible. Yeah. Some days are really good on a mental performance. You could withstand anything.
Yes.
And other days, there's, like, literally someone creeps the door and you're like, fuck's sake! I think, like, you have days, and I definitely have days like that as well, but I already have coping mechanisms in place in case I flip my shit. I'm like, wait a minute, let's go back to this, like, we know what we need to do here.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. So just because we've had a bit of a fun chat, and I really enjoyed that bit, I want to ask you about something maybe a little bit more serious now. So I know something that you struggle with is polycystic ovary syndrome. And again, it's not something I'm like overly aware of, but if you could just explain a bit more about that, and if it gets the chance to help just one or two people that may be also struggling with it, then I think it'd be really good to hear your side of the story with it. So take it away.
So I have PCOS. I was diagnosed with it when I was 17. And basically polycystic ovary syndrome comes in many, many like strains and severities. When I was younger, it was quite severe. And it would cause things like a really irregular period, super emotional times of days, weeks, months, weight gain, quite considerable weight gain as well as the other side effects can be things like infertility, really bad acne, and it's basically a hormone imbalance, and it's due to little polyps that are on your ovaries either side, and they come and go, and they cause an imbalance within your body. And there's not much you can do about it if you don't know that that's what you've got. So I had like loads of general like issues like that. So I went to my doctor. I had loads of blood tests. I had loads of outside ultrasounds, and they were like checking to do in my body. And then they were like, okay, so you've got PCOS. This is how we're going to manage it. Now, originally they tried to manage it with drug therapy. They gave me metformin. Now, metformin is a type 2 diabetes regulatory drug. And even at the age of 16, without knowing much about sports science or drug therapy, I researched what this drug did, and I refused to take it. So I had 40 boxes of it in my bedroom as a 17-year-old girl. This was apparently how they were going to manage it. I'd done some reading. And it was suggested that a low GI, low glycemic index diet would help the symptoms of weight gain. And because a lot of it is sugar sensitivities, insulin sensitivities, and that can be regulated with things as well, like inositol as a supplement. So at that point, I started on a low GI diet. My mom obviously helped me a lot with that. And I started to do light exercise. And then I realized, as I was growing and getting a bit older, I realized that high intensity training or resistance training was the optimal training type, as well as supplementing with things like inositol and also things like a low GI diet and minimizing sugar intake. So over the course of maybe 2 years, I learned more about it and how to regulate it. And I started getting into a little bit more sport. There was a period in which I didn't follow the guidelines and rules I'd set for myself. And I did put on a lot of weight and I did get worse symptoms again. But then that was probably coming to the end of a really bad relationship and a terrible breakup. At the end of that, I then re-implemented all of the recommended research proven, what would you even call them? Procedures, protocols, that would then get me back to my optimal health. So again, back on a low GI diet, minimize sugars, and put some HIIT training into my program. I also came off all hormone things. Like I didn't take the pill or anything, because I did try one for a while called Dianet, but it was really aggressive. And realistically, I spend all day, every day trying to better my health. So I train because I want my body to be its best, and I eat because I want my body to be its best, and all of these things. I take care of my skin and my teeth, but then I was throwing artificial hormones into my body every day, and it's not natural. So I came off all of those things. So what you see with me is what you get. It's not because I just took my pill and now I feel pretty happy. It's just like I've managed to level out. So I did all of that. And now the training considerations for PCOS is that you do, even in a female cycle, there's 2 phases, follicular phase, a linear phase, luteal phase, and follicular phase. And in that, women will get a rise in testosterone, progesterone, a drop in estrogen, a higher estrogen point. The thing for PCOS is that the recurrence and the highs and falls of those hormones still occur. However, with PCOS, I had a very low progesterone count and quite a high testosterone count, meaning that my body conflicts with itself between estrogen and testosterone a lot. But one thing that PCOS does do is it allows you to gain muscle a lot quicker, because your testosterone level is higher. So it does have its pitfalls. But now, interestingly, last year I went for my bloods and a checkup. They do an outside scan, they do an inside scan, awful. And they take your bloods and they talk you through a bit of a questionnaire on how you've been. My results came back, and I had this when I was 17 and a half, 18. Then when I was 18, it got really bad, and I had it every month for a year, all those tests. And then when I was 19 and 20, it was twice a year. Then it was once a year, 21, 22, 23. And on my 24th, 25th, they did all those tests again. And the results came back negative. Negative. Amazing. To PCOS. There is no recorded case in history of actually not having PCOS, having had it. They haven't done anything with this information yet. However, I have felt the best I've ever felt being from year 28, from when I was 28 to now 30, the best I've ever felt, based on still having low sugars in my diet, still doing HIIT training and resistance training, massively hyperhydrating. That really helps me and my skin. And then, just trying to keep a low GI diet. But then all those things are ideal with an athlete schedule.
Wow.
Awesome. Brilliant. Like I say, I couldn't not ask you about it once I found out about it. But and like you say, just to summarize it, basically sounds like you live a super healthy lifestyle. You're very athletic and fit, and it basically helped to reverse an irreversible illness. Illness is probably maybe not the right word, but syndrome. Yeah,
the same old story though, isn't it? People like, why should I exercise? It's like, how many reasons do you want?
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
it.
what you've just said there is unbelievable. And
yeah, I didn't have any
real, does it?
No, like I didn't have any drug therapy. I don't have any natural remedies. There's not like I don't take ginseng in my tea upside down at 7 p.m. every night. Like I don't do anything weird.
Do you drink Monster though?
Well,
maybe that's what it is.
However, do you know what's amazing? Look at this. Oh, I just dropped it. Look at what's in this can.
Ginseng.
No, inositol and B vitamins. So don't be funny,
maybe it's helping. I like it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Someone's got shares in Monster. Okay.
That's it. I feel like loads of girls may have like a touch of PCOS. It's undiagnosed. And I always tell people to like record their feelings. That's what I did before. Like I just took a diary of me and how I felt, how irregular my cycle was, blah, 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 blah. And then I started implementing some of these things, and then I recorded it again, and the change was remarkable. So if anyone does want any information about it, they can also contact me, but all their GP. Plus, there's loads of really good coaches online that deal with PCOS specifically, and a few of them are with BTN Academy, Ben Coomer's Academy. That's where I learned most about it. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Amazing. Like I say, check them out, and if anybody does suspect, or again, I think Shelley won't mind me saying to contact her. I think I know I can think of girls that I work with closely with nutrition and things like that like we obviously that uncomfortable conversation comes up at least once a month where I go, so what time of the month is it again, or where are we at? And they're like, yeah, that's, and I'm like, yeah, that's why your training's gone to shit and so on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But like I can think of people that may be affected by that like you say have irregular cycles, they struggle with weight gain and stuff like that. I can think of lots of things that you reeled off there that I know people that I'll certainly suggest people get checked out with it, because like you say, if it's actually quite a simple solution, isn't it? Eat right, sleep more, do everything that you need to, train a little bit more, all the usual stuff. So
yeah, awesome. Like, and it is going to help your performance, but overall help your health. There's not a single negative there. Those things I've suggested to do will only make you better tenfold. There's nothing there that's like a little bit controversial because it might damage you in other areas. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all good stuff.
Yeah. Agreed. Now, in my research before we did the podcast, one thing that did tickle me up was you made a video, and for anybody that can't see Shell, she's got amazing hair, and you made a video about your hair. How long or how many questions about like styling your hair did you get before you eventually went, I'm making a fucking video? Like,
honestly, my hair, like today, my hair is just meh. But it's because before I was with you guys, I did my first proper CrossFit workout today in like 2 weeks. Right. And trust me when I say I was sweating. So now my hair is not its best. However, I honestly get thousands of messages, questions about products, about how I style it, even like how often I let it down. Do I sleep with it up? Do I sleep with it down? Do I plait it? Do I wash it? Or do I just use shampoo? Do I just use conditioner? Do I brush it?
Tell me it's a wig. Tell me it's a
wig. Yeah, I know. Like, take it off. Loads and loads and loads of people. And loads of people ask me, like, how I wash it and style it. And then when I tell them, they're like, no way. That's what I do. My hair doesn't look like that. So I originally made that video because I was actually just practicing on how to vlog. I want to do more vlogging, and now I've got a Canon G7X Mark II, which for those who don't know is like a pure spanking camera.
Right. I'll make a note because we need a new camera.
Well, that is a very good like first time vlogging camera because it's quite small, but it has a screen on the back. So when you shoot, you can see in a big screen. Also, that screen turns round so you can selfie mode with the camera. And it comes with an attachment Gorilla Pod, so you can hold it. Like that for me is going to be really good. So I've started, like, I know how to edit videos, so I can put like cool covers on them that would go on your YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel already, Sheli McCoy. And like the screen that you'll see might be a picture of me and a pair of trainers with some words on it. And I was literally just learning how to vlog, and I just needed a not serious, no one's gonna mind if I mess it up topic. So I thought, fuck it, like 2,000 questions down the line about my wig, I might as well chat about it.
Yeah, excellent.
Phil's only asking because he's growing his hair.
Yeah, you can't really see my hair at the minute. My hair's a mess but I've been trying to grow it, and like you have no idea how much grief I get about the state of my hair at the moment. But
is it curly?
It's not quite, no, but like, hang on, I'll take my headphones off. I won't be able to hear you, but you can see.
Shell, basically, Phil's like a massive fanboy of yours. He's been following you for ages. He said, Josh, I need to get her on the podcast so I can ask her about her hair. And so there's the honest truth. That's what it is. Look at the state of that barnet.
Yeah, but you know what? I gotta be honest, guys with long hair is my absolute jam. Purely because it takes discipline. It takes discipline, and you have to go through that manky phase. Not an awful lot of people can face that phase, but like if I wanted to shave off half of my hair, I wouldn't really mind the fact that it grows back like this, mostly because I don't care what people think about me, and at some point it looks cool as fuck. So you just have to like get past it, because there's not many people out there that will have long hair, and it depends what sort of products you use in your hair as well, and how you blow dry it as to how it sits. And
right, just hang on. Right. I grew my hair a few years ago, right, and I've got the curliest hair known to man, right?
Yeah,
so I envisioned I'd look like Aquaman, yeah. And
did not.
I ended up looking like Marge Simpson because it just grew upwards. It was horrendous. I was like, oh yeah, it looked great. And I just could never have it down because it just stuck out in all directions. And I used
but then my
all
hair's
kinds
like
of
that as well.
frizzy stuff, anything, and just couldn't tame it.
I keep telling myself I'm going to look like Cam Porter, so it's all right.
The thing is, like, there's so many ways to like make your curls look different. So today, my curls look different to what they did last week, and they were really like tight little springs. My hair was like this, like with little springs, but that's because last week I co-washed it, so I only used conditioner, and I only used conditioner for like 3 washes, and then
I thought co-wash is where you wash it with somebody.
Yeah, no, co-wash.
Somebody's help.
No, like I only used conditioner for like 3 washes, and then only used oil, and it just soaks it up and it gets close to your head. Whereas this week I've used shampoo and conditioner, and it sits a little bit flatter, because it's got some of the oils taken out of it. So a lot of it is to do with the care of your hair. What do you put in it? And just leaving it alone. If your hair's curly, it needs serious amounts of moisture. So you might have the hair type that needs argan oil. You douse it in that once a week, and then hey presto, you have the perfect curls. You don't need to do anything else with it. Like, this isn't a lot of upkeep. I basically neglect my hair, and it just looks the way it does. But I put moisture in it.
That's the method I'm going for. I'm just going to neglect it until it looks good, and that's my plan. So I feel like we've had a really nice girly chat, and I've got to start to wrap it up because again I don't want to keep you all day. So we've got some questions to sort of start to wrap it up. We're going to start with some dead easy ones, and this is purely because I like to add to my book recommendations and book lists. What's your go-to recommendation for a book, or if not a book, you can go for a film?
David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Oh, what a book.
Great book.
Yeah, so I'm going to lead with that, but then also my second favourite author is Ryan Holiday.
Yeah, go on.
And one of the books that probably made the biggest difference to me when I was going through, like, just shit, everyone goes through it, don't they? I went through shit for a while, was Adversity. The Adversity one, what is it? The Obstacles Away?
Yeah.
That was amazing. So
yeah, I love that
David
book.
Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, and Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way. Those two are my go-tos for now. However, I'm a real fan of Laini Taylor. That's fiction. It's all about like chimera and angels and devils and Hamzas and stuff. And because I love escapism, hook me up with some Harry Potter any day, because my life is so serious all of the time, and I'm relied on by so many people for like life-changing stuff that sometimes I just need to switch off and pretend I'm a fairy princess. So Laini Taylor is a great author. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. No, to be fair, like Ryan Holiday's book was the book that I bought Josh when he eventually left his full-time job to come working at the gym. I was like, right, you need to read this, and it was his first book. It was his first non-fiction, first book that he properly read. He always says, and Sean Woodland recommended Ready Player One to us, and that was so I got into that, and I listened to that basically over 2 days. It's a 15-hour book, and I think I finished it in under 3 days.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading. What was the book Brandon read to us? Recommended to us.
How Bad Do You Want It?
Yeah, How Bad Do You Want It? Is the book, and I've just started. Get my phone, because it's on my phone, because I'm that guy. I have just started. What's the name of it? It was recommended because I like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. I'll find the name.
I've just finished this one.
Oh, sorry. Light of Diddy Coy. It's about gangs in New York in the early 1900s.
I'm currently reading Relentless. It's actually about Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's a very good book.
Yeah.
Boom.
That one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good book. I'm reading that right now. I've not finished it yet.
It's really good. I actually said we did a solo podcast the other day, and it was one of the books I recommended on that. I was like, definitely get that one. What are you reading? Any non-fiction at the minute?
Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone.
Okay, nice. I'll check them out. It may be a little girly for me, but I'll give it a
No,
whirl.
the thing is, like, it's not really. It's a lot. It is a bit like just fantasy escapism. So I don't know if there's any films that are similar to it, but it is a bit about war between two realms, essentially.
Okay, yeah, sounds like something that I'd be into, to be fair.
Yeah.
Give it a whirl. Okay, so next question. If you could pick any profession at all, what would it be? Other than what I say what you do now, but I feel like what you do now is a very big term.
See, the thing is, and I say this all the time, and I actually have a postcard like thing made of this on my wall. I actually am the girl I want to be.
Nice.
This is what I want to do. Like, I wouldn't change this. And I haven't done this as like it was there and I could just do it. I wasn't naturally gifted as an athlete. I was shit in PE. I wasn't very clever. Like, I had to really apply myself in anatomy and physiology. But what I currently do now is what I've always wanted to do. And I wouldn't change my profession. This is it.
Amazing. Love it. Last question of the serious ones. If you could sit down with any one person and learn everything you possibly could from them, you get 24 hours with them, who would it be? And they can be dead or alive, anybody you'd like.
My dad.
Dad? Awesome.
Right, wow.
He died when I was 3, but
right.
he is a massive driving force for me, and he was a very talented soldier and sergeant. He was well loved and respected. My mum said he was very intelligent and like a very plausible character. I feel like he's the sort of person I'd like to learn real life knowledge and experience from. Like, I feel like there's some real professionals in the world, but topics, they're knowledgeable in topics. I could be knowledgeable in that topic too, because, we all have the same textbooks, but in life, like the way that life shapes you as a person is an individual experience, and you can't learn that. I'd sit down with my dad.
Amazing. Awesome. Excellent answer. Right, last questions, and we call this bit section this or that. So easy one to start with: snatch or clean and jerk?
Snatch.
Running or rowing?
Oh, rowing.
Rowing? Ah, do you know what? You surprised me. Air bike or rowing?
Air bike.
Ooh.
It fucks you up. Like,
Yeah.
there's just not a better way to hurt, is there? It fucks you up.
You always know that someone's a sadist when they say that. When they, oh, yeah, I love the air bike. What? Front squat or back squat?
Front squat because it hurts more.
Okay. Pizza or ice cream?
Pizza, although I'm lactose intolerant, so neither.
That's upsetting because both are magical.
Yeah, like legit, I really miss it. However, recently Oatly have brought out an oat-based ice cream, and it is good stuff. Like, vegan ice cream is all I usually have, and it's terrible. However, this genuinely is amazing tasting. It's better than the Ben & Jerry's dairy-free.
Oh, right. That's a big shout, but I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah, Oatly ice cream. They do salted caramel. It's ridiculously good. The strawberry's a really subtle one, and I haven't tried the chocolate yet because I'm not really a chocolate fan. I'd rather like Haribo than chocolate. But I do say, honestly, give Oatly salted ice cream, salted caramel ice cream a go just once, just for me.
I mean, salted caramel, anything is generally a winner. Cookies or donuts?
Donuts. Me and donuts. Oh, we got it going on, fam.
Agreed.
Love the passion behind that one. Fucking donuts.
To be fair, that was the question that started this whole segment. One of our coaches texted us and was like, would you like cookies or donuts? And I'm like, donuts. Like, it's a stupid question.
However, I got something else that might change your life.
Fried Mars bar.
Did you know? No, I swear, this one's big. This is big.
Cool.
Did you know Marks and Spencer's have created a hybrid baby between a Yum Yum and a donut, and they've called it a Yum Nut?
Right.
Okay.
It's phenomenal.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to have to try that.
I was going to say, should we go for a social distancing trip to Marks and Spencer's and get some Yum Nut? Is it Yum Nuts? I feel like that's
Yum Nuts.
I feel this is like Rich Froning having you off with the sandbag.
I was going to say, am I going to get to, are me and Josh going to get there and they'll be like, Yum Nuts? You're a Yum Nut.
Yum Nuts, please.
No. I promise you, it's a thing. Marks and Spencer's Yum Nuts. The love child of a Yum Yum and a donut.
Amazing. Okay, last couple. Books or movies?
Books.
Olympic gold medal or £1 million?
Olympic gold medal. That shit will get me an Olympic. It'll get me £1 million or more.
Amazing. We've been very surprised so far how many people have actually said £1 million. To be because I think we were both under the impression that everyone would be like, yeah, gold medal, and like lots of people been like, nah, £1 million.
You know, like if you've got a gold medal, you can sell your worn socks for like £100,000.
Really?
Just saying. Listen,
no
I'm on
one's
Instagram.
buying my worn socks, no matter what I've done.
The amount of people that offer me 500 quid for my worn shorts is unbelievable.
What? Do you know what?
Obviously, I don't do it. But if I was in, I'd be like, yeah, mate, what's your address?
If it comes to it, you're like, yeah, it's just dishing out worn shorts.
At least you can fall back on it. You got a retirement plan, you know.
Exactly.
Amazing. So, Shell, really quick, I know you've got sponsors and stuff, so where can people find you, and is there anybody that you want to promote before we wrap it up?
I'm on Instagram at CFShelly. I'm also on Instagram at Sheli _ complete physique. Also at Sweatbox Dundee. They're all mine. I'm sponsored by Awesome Supplements. They do all of my supplement stuff, so you'll find me all over their website too. And ESC Sounds for headphones. Innovate for trainers. I have a few clothing sponsors and support workers, but I'm going to be working with Heavy Rep Gear again since they're coming back to life. So yeah, like on Instagram mostly is where I hang out, but my I have a email list as well and a couple of websites, but they're all my name. Google my name. It all comes up.
I did my research on Shell before the podcast, and she is dead easy to find. So you can't miss her. So again, Jill, thank you very much for taking time today to have a chat with us. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be able to, I feel like you've got a lot more to tell, so we'll maybe make this happen again sometime. Thanks to everyone for listening today. Find us Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Give us a 5-star review if you're on not Spotify, on iTunes. And again, like I say, subscribe on YouTube wherever possible. The more people subscribe, like, and share, the more we are able to get these out there to people. So again, thanks very much for everyone being on today, and peace.
Cheers, Shell.
Thank you very much, guys.